Hi, welcome to the Black TV Show podcast. I'm your host, Miriam. Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 19. Today I'm doing the Cosby Show, season 1, episode 19, Claire's Case. I just want to let you know that this is probably the only episode in the whole series that we see Claire in a courtroom. We all know that she's an attorney, and she talks about all her cases that she has to deal with and all that stuff, but we never actually see her working in the courtroom, which is odd because we do see Dr. Huxtable working in the hospital here and there to deliver babies, but we don't really see Claire working in a courtroom. I'm not sure why they didn't do that, because I feel like it would make good comedy with like how sharp she is by drilling these people, just like where she ended up drilling the guy that she did for this episode. So I just want to let you know on that. The episode aired February 21st, 1985. We start off with Cliff and Rudy. Rudy is sleeping on top of Cliff. And Claire comes home from work and she was like, oh my God, that's the cutest thing. So I'm going to go and take a photo. I would do the same. Little kids, they're the cutest thing. And like when they're sleeping, it's just, you just want to take a moment of that. There are photos of me when I was younger where I'm just like, you could tell I'm dead asleep. I don't know why my parents decided to take photos of me, but I guess maybe because it was cute. I don't know. But it is a cute moment. So she takes that photo and the camera makes a noise that wakes Cliff up. And he's like, why is she on me? Like, I don't even know how this ended up happening. So Cliff explains that like Rudy and him had an argument or disagreement, and like Rudy attacked him, and then I guess they end up both sleeping like together at the same time. And he mentions like they never attack when you're home, you know. And Claire was like, I apologize for being late. One of the cases that she was dealing with kept her busy. But now, she's home. Claire was like, I guess I'll take Rudy back to bed. And Cliff was like, no, I'll take her. And Claire was like, don't move her. And he's like, don't move her. She can sleep through anything. She has slept through $2 million worth of, I guess, fireworks. He said it firecrackers, but fireworks and like a huge brass band and just a whole bunch of noise, and she's been able to sleep through that. And like, she's not gonna wake up just from him moving her around. Cliff tells Claire that he make dinner for her, and it's from the island of Trinidad. I don't know I can't remember if he said Tobago, but it's Trinidad in Tobago. I would know because my best friend is from there. And I hope one day we'll be able to travel there for Carnival. It would have been great if we did it this year, but a pandemic happened. So, and she goes into the kitchen, or Claire goes into the kitchen, and she sees Theo in the kitchen making a sandwich. Claire was like, didn't you get full from eating Cliff's dinner? And he's like, yeah. He was just like, I want to know what's in my food, because whatever Cliff makes, it's once you know what's in the food, you don't want to eat it. And so he's making a sandwich that has peanut butter, jelly, liverwurst, anchovies, onions for cleansing. I don't know why onion for cleansing. Does it cleanse you? I don't know. If I ate straight onion, it would kill me. I feel like it's the taste of it is not great. But if it's mixed with other things, it's fine. Liverwurst. I don't know what liverwurst is. Can someone tell me what that is? And anchovy sounds horrible. And I don't like peanut butter myself. I don't eat jelly, but I'll take that. But it's just like the sandwich just sounds horrible. And the phone rings, and Claire picks it up, and it's Frank on the phone, and like he's saying to her like, Sandra should settle in the case that she's dealing with. So Sandra is currently in a case against her car repairman, and so whoever is her lawyer, this Frank Simmons, wants her to settle. And Claire was like, no, that's not happening. And while she's on the phone, Cliff comes down and sees Theo's sandwich, and it was like, ew, it smells. It probably does. I don't know what is liverwurst? What's, and even Theo says the exact same thing to Cliff, was saying, the onion is for cleansing and all that stuff. And Cliff is like, take it to your room. And Theo was like, I thought we're not supposed to be eating in our room. And he's like, no one would know the difference. So he takes the sandwich upstairs, and Claire gets off the phone or basically tells Frank that to give the case to her. And Cliff was like, who's that? It's Frank Simmons. He wants Sandra to settle. And Claire is like, that's not going to happen because the repairman ripped her off. And so the trial is in 3 days. And Sandra is coming home tonight. And Cliff was asking who's going to take care of the case. And Claire just gives that stare. And Cliff was like, oh, they're going to get the rap from Clair Huxtable. Or I think they said Clair Colt Huxtable. And so Claire starts eating her dinner, and she's like, what's in it? And he was talking about where he got the food and everything, and he was like, there is slices of turtle feet. Ew, why would you eat turtle feet? No, that is disgusting. And right away Claire spits out the food, and she's done it, and starts walking away. And Cliff was like, where are you going? She was like, I want to get some of that sandwich that Theo made. I wouldn't want that sandwich that Theo made. If there was nothing else in the fridge, I would go out and get food. I'll eat McDonald's, no, turtle's feet? Ooh, that is disgusting. And so then it's the next day, and Sandra is there, and, they're talking about the case. And Cliff keeps interrupting and saying, let's not do the trial. Let's just go to the house and beat up the guy. And Claire was just like, I'm done with this. So she's telling Cliff, take Vanessa and Rudy out of the house because they're going to distract us from practicing for this case. And so Cliff was like, okay. And so Sandra and Claire go through the steps of how they're going to go through trial. And, Sandra uses so when Sandra's saying, she's saying, he or Mr. and stuff, and Claire was like, don't say he, don't say Mr. And then she also said, mom is great, and Claire was like, don't say mom is great, because or else, they're not going to take us seriously. And also when, don't say he, you got to say Mr., because you want to be respectful for that person right before you're about to nail him. I love that. Claire's tactics, it's good. And Claire basically asks a whole bunch of questions. I'm not going to go through the details. And then we're back in the kitchen, and Cliff goes to get Rudy and tells Rudy that they're going to go see the dinosaurs. Rudy doesn't want to go see them because they're big and scary. And Cliff gets Rudy to say a type of dinosaur. I don't know I can't remember what the type of dinosaur. You can see, I'm rushing by this because I don't really care about this part of the episode. And so then Rudy's like, yeah, let's go see the dinosaurs. And then we're up in the parents' room, and Theo is making the bed. At first I was like, why is he making the bed? But then I guess because, Claire has been so busy with the case that she just hasn't had time to do anything at home. And I don't know why Cliff isn't making it. It doesn't make sense, And so Theo makes it, and then Cliff comes in the room, and he's quickly done. I don't know why he was trying to rush it down. He could have kept going, but he's rushed it. And Theo says, how's it going? And then so Cliff starts using Navy words. So Theo was like, oh, this is not good. And Cliff throws a penny onto the bed, and Cliff was like, the bed is so bad, it's not even made. So he shows Theo how to make a bed with the sheets. It is hard. The sheet that's under when we're sleeping, it is hard to actually stretch it over to all four corners. So I understand Theo's dilemma. It's just making a bed is hard, but we learn how to make it by them showing us. This is a great learning lesson for for kids that are watching this episode and seeing this for the first time. They can learn how to make a bed. This is one of the learning lessons from this episode, I would say. Then we leave from the bedroom and we're in the kitchen, and Rudy is in the kitchen cleaning, mopping the floor, and Denise and Vanessa are just like sitting there watching and like demanding which way she's supposed to be sweeping. And Cliff comes in and says more Navy words, and Vanessa's like, oh, he's using Navy words. Cliff shows them how to mop with this kind of song, mop it up, swap, something like that. I see, I'm so bad with saying these like singing parts. They have a dance move and a rhythm to it. Cliff even uses Rudy to mop, using her whole body to mop and all that stuff. And then he leaves the room and let them clean. And then we're in the evening, and we see Cliff is cooking and making weird noises as usual. And Theo comes in quickly, but then tries to get out. And Theo's like, oh, I want you to try this. And Theo's like, I'll wait until dinner. Okay. And Cliff is like, dinner. And so everyone comes in. You know, Sandra is the one who gets the first bowl of whatever he made. I don't know what he made. And she starts eating it, and they're like, the kids, all of her siblings are like, ew, and like, how can you, like, they were like, how can you be eating this food? And she was like, well, when you're away from home, like, all you want is a home cooked meal, and so when you come home, you'll eat anything. And Theo was like, I gotta be away for a very long time to want to have this kind of food. Then Rudy goes up next to get her bowl, and Cliff picks up a cow's tongue out of the pot. I was wondering, because I've heard people eat cow's tongue, and so I messaged my friend if she's eaten a cow's tongue, and she was like, yeah, it's really good. It's like chicken. And I'm like, no, I will. And like, she asked, like, should I try? And I'm like, no, I don't want to try. I remain to not try what a cow's tongue is. But it is a popular dish. And Rudy was like, I'm getting out of here when she saw that. And Cliff was like, no, that's just for flavor. And I love Theo's comment. He's like, Theo says he doesn't want to taste something that can taste him. Good point. I would not want that either. And Rudy makes a comment. She's like, I'd rather have Brussels sprouts. And you remember the episode, I believe it was episode 16, Jitterbug Break, where they were making her eat Brussels sprouts. Now she's like, I'll eat that real quick. So that's funny. And then Vanessa goes next, and she thinks there's an eye, and Cliff was like, oh, I didn't take that out. And he was making a joke, and it was actually a mushroom. And then Sandra really likes the dinner, but no one else really wants to eat it. Like, and Cliff says, oh, by the way, and then also Theo and Denise went to get their dishes in between there, so they weren't left out. I'm skipping that part. And so then Cliff says the last one that's done has to eat the cow's tongue, and all the kids start rushing to eat all the food. So it's just so funny. And then Claire, so then it's the nighttime, it's the middle of the night, and Claire is still up. It is 2 a.m., and she's working on Sandra's case. And Cliff asks, Cliff is like, I guess he wakes up and like is trying to grab onto Claire, thinking that she's still in bed, and realizes she's not in bed, that she's working. And so he gets up and says, asks what time it is, and she's like, I have so much work to do. And Cliff asks, like, can I come to the case? And Claire was like, why? It's just a civil case. Like, it's gonna be very boring. Cliff said that it's not going to be boring. Like, it'll be interesting with Claire, being the lawyer. And Cliff makes a comment saying, Claire should take a break. And Claire was like, oh, no, I cannot take a break. I have a lot of work to do. And she's probably going to need another hour of work. And Cliff is trying to do, like, a massage on her back. And she's like, no, I cannot have that because that is deadly, because that will make me sleep. And I won't get any work done. But she was like, but I'll take the back rub once I'm done my work. And he was like, how long will that be? And she said, 1 hour. And he's like, 1 hour? I'll be asleep by then. And she's like, if you do, you die. I love it. And you can see in her eyes the fierceness, like her eye, like you'll be dead if you fall asleep. So that was funny. We were at court for the first time and the last time of this whole series. And so we get a guy on the stand who must be the repairman. He looks kind of like an Italian guy. You know what's crazy is for the first time, I think last October, I can't remember, I learned that a lot of people that live in New York and New Jersey are Italian. I did not know that. I learned that from watching Spike Lee's film Jungle Fever. Never seen it until last year, which is sad. I wish I had seen it before. The only reason I watched it was because a podcast that I was listening to recommended it, and it was talking about it, so I was like, you know what, I gotta watch it. And I learned from there's a lot of Italians, and that's when I click. I was like, oh, this is why I watch the Jersey Shore, and they talk about Italy all the time, because Jersey Shore is filled with Italians, So I digress, sorry. And so we're in the courtroom, and a man talks to Cliff and says, hi, and says that, he's in the courtroom every day because this is also interesting. Cliff and that man says, Claire will win because she is sharp. She's going for the kill, Throughout the case, I'm not going to go into details because I'm sorry, I'm not a lawyer. Maybe one day when we get a lawyer onto this podcast, we can go into details. But the whole situation is that the guy charged Sandra for an engine that he never replaced. So I think she was going in to get it replaced so that her car could be running, but he never actually did any of the work and charged her way too much money for it. And so the guy just freaks out and says, "Can I get a recess?" And so the judge said, "Okay, yeah, let's do 15 minutes." And Sandra was like, "What does this mean?" And Claire was like, "We're about to win. That's what it means." And so, which is great, you should, if you haven't seen the episode, please watch it. You really see Claire's sharpness in this episode. She's very strong. For me, if I was a lawyer, I probably would be so bad. I don't think I'd be that strong enough to get that done. So, I'm just letting you know, please watch this episode, how smart she is and how she's able to go for the kill, basically. And then Cliff tells the man, I think I'm going to ask Claire out. And the man was like, oh, she probably has a boyfriend. And Claire was like, okay, well, I'm going to ask anyways. And so he asked Claire, saying, do you want to go for a coffee? And then also asked, do you want to get married? And Claire was like, yeah, let's get married. And they kiss, and the man is shocked, and we end the episode right there. I loved it. The man was like, how do you just, get someone to fall in, this is so unrealistic. So I wonder if the man figured out that they were actually married. But Claire was like, I've only been out of law school for a year. And I'm like, really? So clearly Claire was in with the act of what they were doing, because there's no way that she would have gone with the flow like that. So and we end the episode right there. So we had Sabrina back on this episode for playing Sandra Huxtable. I believe she's in 2 more episodes in this season, and then I think she's a season regular in season 2. So the man that was in the courtroom, his name is David Langston. He is actually in another 4 episodes in the Cosby Show, but not playing this character. He's playing a different, complete character. He's playing in another episode in season 1. He's in season 2 and season 3. As I said, I hate when they use the same actor to play different characters. You can find other actors that can play that, But clearly he must have been friends with Bill Cosby. I think that's the only reason why he was on the show. He's also been on Sesame Street and the movie that I saw for the first time during Christmas time, which was The Preacher's Wife. So he's done a lot. And the next episode will be episode 20, season 1, episode 20, Back to the Track Jack. See you all on the next one.